please welcome Executive Vice President of Clarion Events, Eric Schlett.
Good morning and welcome to FDIC International 2024. It is with immense pleasure and excitement that I stand before you today to kick off what promises to be another extraordinary event. As we gather here, we do so with a profound sense of purpose, a shared commitment to excellence, and a dedication to advancing firefighting and the rescue service. I must thank Chief Ernest Malone and the Indianapolis Fire Department, Mayor Joe Hogsett and the Visit Indy team, as well as Governor Eric Holcomb for their continued support of our mission to save lives through training. This year, FDIC International continues to push boundaries and redefine industry standards with an array of new offerings designed to empower and inspire all those who serve in the fire service community. From cutting-edge equipment demonstrations to interactive training sessions led by some of the brightest and most trusted minds in the field, there is truly something for everyone at this year's event. I'm particularly thrilled to introduce the latest additions to our lineup, including specialized workshops that are focused on emerging technologies, live fire simulations that provide invaluable hands-on experience, and panel discussions tackling the most pressing issues facing firefighters today. These new offerings represent our unwavering commitment to staying at the forefront of innovation and providing you with the tools and knowledge needed to excel in your role. None of this would be possible without the tireless efforts of our dedicated team, the unwavering commitment and support of our sponsors, exhibitors, and partners. Their collective enthusiasm and the dedication have been instrumental in making FDIC International the premier event it is today. We now embark on this incredible journey of learning, collaboration, and growth. It is now my honor to introduce Chief David Rhodes, the Educational Director of FDIC and Editor-in-Chief of Fire Engineering Magazine. Thank you all for coming, and I look forward and I hope you enjoy FDIC 2024.
Right. I didn't realize that term loyal disobedient was going to resonate with you guys like it did last year. So I got a lot of calls. I feel that maybe this place is where the loyal disobedient gather every year to collaborate and provide emotional support to each other. Maybe we should change FDIC to finally disobedience in collaboration. Or maybe we'll go with the finest disobedience in the country. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Is this the cradle of a revolution? The great 60s philosophers, the Beatles, said it best. You say you want a revolution. Well, you know, we all want to change the world. A fire service culture war is in full effect. Scroll through social media and you'll see boring, vanilla official fire department posts about promotions, our community service events. Now and then we get a picture of an incident, but for the most part, the official fire department pages are boring and predictable. Counter to that are individuals and groups that are posting the heavy stuff, the controversial stuff. These pages are where the passion lives. They capture the actual culture in nearly a revolutionary way. These individuals and groups can be labeled as revolutionaries because they're not following the status quo. They are challenging authority, institutions, and in many cases, each other. They have taken on the identities of cartels, the mafia. There's lots of skulls and tough-looking images, all with the hopes and dreams of changing the world. Or at least the fire service, right? The loyal disobedient rise up. We have unlimited and mostly unrestricted communication tools. It's easy to communicate our ideas and methods, techniques and opinions. Back in my early days of loyal disobedience, you had to actually travel to a meeting with a bullhorn to be heard. Now you just make a post or a reel and thousands can react in seconds. Those who agree with your opinion find instant confirmation and accept the like-minded association. Soon you have a following. Tribal swag starts to emerge, mostly in the forms of stickers, hats, and t-shirts. Here's a few from some of my friends. We got some from the Vigilantes. We got some from the Smoothbore Cartel. We got some from the Midland Mafia. We're going big. We can't forget one of the originals, though, the Fraternal Order of Leatherheads, an organization born here and created to support and encourage those of us who dared venture outside our box to get information from places other than just the memos we were sent. Knowledge is power, but only if it's given away. Some leaders are scared to death for you to get information outside your official channels. You information-seeking radicals, by some departments' interpretation, are always up to something. In talking with many of you culture club warriors, a common theme emerges: frustration. We often struggle to make the progress we want within our own departments. Creating a following outside the organization is very therapeutic. It fulfills the basic human need of belonging and the ability to contribute to the profession. I personally love the camaraderie, innovation, creativity, learning, and the aggravation that takes place within these groups. In fact, in 1988, a couple of us drafted the charter for the World Fire Organization, the WFO. We were on a mission to bury the fire service dinosaurs in their outdated ways. We all love our identity swag. We fly our colors to let everyone know who we are or who we're affiliated with. But the question lingers as to whether or not we are changing the fire service. And that is the intention. When I ask people why they attend FDIC or other local conferences, they often say, it's so great to be around like-minded people. I don't believe they really think through their words. An entire culture built around like-mindedness is what led to the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster. We all need to constantly challenge our cognitive bias. Like-minded people don't always challenge us. And if that's all we associate with, it can be dangerous. I hope what is meant when someone says that about FDIC is they love being somewhere where everyone has the same passion to learn, share information, not a place where everyone thinks alike. A place where the fire service mission to serve the community is always more important than our personal wants. In the 80s and early 90s, you got your training from the local, state, or national fire academies. Only the established associations held conferences. Mike Champo and I have been trying to compile a list of all the non-institutional training conferences. I'm telling you, there's like 2 or 3 a week across the country. Why? Where did they come from? A revolution typically implies a significant transformation in a system. Revolutions are often sparked by frustration. Identifying the root causes that lead to revolutionary movements is critical to understanding them. The iron law of unintended consequences says it's a certainty that no matter what action is taken by an individual, a group or organization, or the government, there will be unintended consequences. Let's consider the risk-averse movement that took hold nearly 2 decades ago in our service. One of the unintended consequences was a loss in unity of mission and purpose, and the intense divide between headquarters and the boots on the ground. Our mission, which had always simply been to save lives and property, suddenly became corrupted by corporate slogans that were totally unrelatable to our workforce. Buzzwords from academia that included everything from world peace to the sustainability of everything. We got so caught up in trying to check every box to make every group happy that we focused inward instead of outward on the service of the citizens. To save lives and property. Simple. Unity of purpose, as Chief Halton would say. The work of the risk-averse culture advocates was well intended. No one can say they're against preventing line-of-duty deaths. But those who accept that there are always risks when you work in environments that we do and hold true to the core mission of saving lives know that you can't eliminate and prevent them all. We're busy banning firefighters from the roof. We're banning firefighters from entering windows. We're banning firefighters from searching without dragging the boat anchor. Much of this is an emotional overreaction to a perception, but not facts. It's like being afraid to fly because you know about previous crashes, but not thinking twice about taking a trip in a car. Flying is still the safest form of transportation. If we were notified of every single fatal car accident, we would get 3,700 notifications a day. We remember horrific events more than we do everyday events and the behaviors that cause us the most harm. We knew for years that heart attacks were our #1 killer, but nobody was banning biscuits and gravy, fried chicken, waffles, red velvet cake, and they damn sure didn't ban the recliners. But there were numerous groups trying to get the physical ability test thrown out of their hiring process. The institutions shunned the leaders in departments where tragic incidents happened. The leaders retreated and developed boilerplate reports that seemed to always point to the operators who were functioning with incomplete information, adapting to overcome systemic organizational problems, and trying to fulfill the mission with one eye closed and one hand behind their back. The unintended consequences of the well-intended risk-averse movement. See if any of this sounds familiar. Innovation stagnation. A culture that discourages risk takers hinders innovation, which involves trying new ideas, methods, and a fear of failure. It certainly stifles creativity. Is this why we self-organize to start our own independent training companies and hold our own local training conferences? A lack of adaptability. Risk-averse cultures resist change up and down, making it challenging for organizations to adapt. Is this why a lady calls 911 a second time from inside after 30 minutes of a defensive operation and says, hey, we're still in here. Anybody gonna come get us? We have data that says we can provide a trapped victim with a 70% chance of survival if we remove them within 4 minutes of our arrival. Yet many organizations continue to try and remove all risk before we're allowed to go get them. Reduced employee engagement. A risk-averse culture creates an environment where employees feel constrained or micromanaged. Do you have so few people off duty show up for the department picnic that you have to dispatch on-duty crews to go eat the food? Missed opportunities. Playing it safe all the time causes organizations to miss out on opportunities. Opportunities often involve some level of risk. These opportunities present themselves as trapped occupants that we could save.
Okay, they're there with you, okay? So, do you know if your door is unlocked? Let them know.
Yes, it's unlocked. Come to hurry.
Okay, I'm updating them now, okay?
Okay. Oh no, I didn't even see it here.
I don't know how long I can be in here on a 20-minute call with a dispatcher while crews are standing outside. We can never forget the tragedy of Miss Loretta Pickard in Florida. Difficulty attracting talent. Top talent is often drawn to organizations that have a dynamic and innovative environment. A culture that is excessively risk-averse will struggle to attract and retain high-caliber employees who seek challenges and opportunities for professional growth. Nearly every fire department organization in this country is struggling to recruit and retain members. An overemphasis on short-term gains. In a risk-averse culture, there may be tendencies to prioritize short-term gains over long-term strategic planning. We had 2 expensive workers' comp claims last year that happened during live fire training. Therefore, we are no longer going to do live fire training. Or, we had several people hurt while working out with free weights, so we are going to ban free weights at the station. I will have to admit, in my 36 years of active duty, I never once saw an employee get hurt falling out of a recliner or a bed. We know we have individuals who operate recklessly, but unfortunately, somehow, too many view actual risk management as being reckless. As revolutionaries, we have an obligation to call out the reckless, because their actions often lead to policies that impede our effectiveness on the scene. Our systems need reform from the inside out. But nothing will get accomplished from being a heckler on the outside. As we get re-energized this week, know that we desperately need a revolution, but it does not need to be one of destruction. We don't need to tear down the institutions, but we do need to have the revolutionaries infiltrate the institutions and participate in the process. A revolution needs to be one of collaboration, innovation, partnerships, and cooperation. The one voice that Dr. Lori has laid out has to be the model. But it can't just be one voice from all the organizations and institutions run by the old retired folks. You, The young revolutionaries with your boots on the ground, closest to those we serve, you have to speak up. You have to speak out, and you have to get involved at the highest levels. Clicking like accomplishes nothing other than ensuring you get more like-minded content to your feed and some targeted ads. Volunteering to improve policy standards takes time, effort, commitment. It's not enough to be into the job. I am into college football, as most of you know, but I'm not a player or a coach. My involvement is in buying swag and yelling at the other team to get them to jump off sides. Other than that, I have no actual effect on the team or system. But I am undefeated in tailgating. We must instead be committed to the entire job. That often involves sacrifice, like paying your own way, sharing a room, taking a vacation day to attend important meetings or events. There's an old farm saying that the difference between being into or involved and committed can be summed up by thinking of breakfast. The chicken is involved, but the pig is committed. There's a perception out there that some of the institutions are holding us back by not including the right people. Some think that the institutions should be done away with. But the reality is we need the institutions. Many here may not remember, but the advent of rapid intervention teams was a bottom-up initiative born as a result of several line-of-duty deaths. Everyone was experiencing staffing shortages and budget cuts, but the tactics had not changed. Mike Lombardo was one of those early revolutionary culture warriors in creating some of the first firefighter rescue procedures and rescue teams deemed fast. The concept became so popular with the rank and file that several of us traveled with Mike around the country teaching these firefighter rescue techniques in the 90s. We wanted to change the world, but despite our efforts, we had small pockets of success based on our limited ability to be hosted by some like-minded training chief or local union group. While I believe we did make a difference in the skill level of thousands of individual firefighters, we were only playing checkers, not chess, with the issue. It wasn't until Chief Alan Brunacini led the development of NFPA 1500, pulling in the OSHA regulation of 2 in, 2 out for any IDLH environment, that the fire department leaders took note. We all know the good, the bad, and the ugly looking back. But at the time, it forced our leadership to adopt RIT and RIT training. Bruno was playing chess. The standard was issued and local standard operating procedures were born, along with standard training curriculums and grants to conduct training, JPRs, task books, and skill assessment sheets. FAST or RIT suddenly went from a handful of revolutionary culture warriors reaching a small percentage of the fire service to something that became a standard in every basic firefighter and recruit school in the nation, and something that was established on nearly every incident in the country. To effect real change, it takes more than sensationalism and popularity within like-minded people. Yes, a revolution is needed in many areas in the fire service, but it will never be successful as a skirmish. JPRs need updating, implementing new research and tactics. There are materials out there that can make our gear better and safer. There are better ways to design and lay out apparatus for functionality. Officially, we are only tracking how many people die in fires and not how many rescues we make. It's revolutionaries with the Firefighter Rescue Survey that are independently tracking the rescues and giving us the data. The revolutionary bottom-up innovation will attract some attention, But unless we get it into the national system as a standard, it'll mostly be dismissed or unheard of by those who are making the decisions and leading our organizations. Let's face it. In some cases, these bottom-up movements tick off the establishment leaders, and the door gets shut on the concepts and ideas. Creating division is still the number one tactic to slow down an idea. Our revolution must be strategic. The revolutionaries must play chess and checkers at the same time. Learn the system, infiltrate, and play the established game to make and have a serious impact or influence. This does not require you to compromise your values or stop any of your training. It only requires you to change strategy. We need you revolution-seeking firefighters to swarm the NFPA committees and comments. We need you on local and regional committees that establish policy. Most importantly, we need you to get promoted so you can have a greater influence within your own organization. Ask yourself, is it more productive to brag about violating a standard or change the standard or create the standard to what it needs to be? Do we just want to sell more hats and stickers than the other person? Or do we want to rewrite and influence and guide the entire industry? We need the NFPA to invest in the fire service, fund firefighter participation, and make sure committees recruit firefighters who actually have their boots on the ground delivering service. There needs to be equal representation and collaboration between administrators and operators. Firefighters have a responsibility to seek out involvement, but the institutions have an obligation to make it easier for them to do so. The institutions have to go out and recruit, inform, and most of all, inspire people to want to be a part of the process. It's easy to beat up on leadership. Being the fire chief or leader of any organization is tough. But what part of this job do we have common ground on? We revolutionaries need to identify someone who can be the new Bruno. Someone who has their ear on the ground, listening to the revolutionaries, but is well accepted within the current establishments and institutions and can help create evolution. If you're out there, please grab the bull by the horns and let's go. Let's lead the revolution, not to accept that we need to wear our structural fire gear and SCBA designed for IDLH environments to do overhaul after we've worked our butts off for 2 hours in 75 pounds of wet gear and it now weighs 100 pounds. Let's build the right tools for the job. Let's tear down burned out buildings or turn them over to a private company that has the right equipment to do overhaul so we can go back decon and get back in service for the next emergency. Let's get the latest research into the curriculum and JPRs. Let's develop policy that allows us mechanisms to remove victims in the first 4 minutes. The fire service needs you, the revolutionaries, to move us forward. We need your passion. We need your street cred. We need your knowledge. We need your energy. We need your influence. And we desperately need your leadership. And if we do this, it's going to be all right.